What if I told you the way it has always been done is not the best way? Facing your fears will change your life. The passion behind this journey is merging two separate worlds into one with the goal of creating value and awareness for a better life.
I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast is brought to you by Unlocking Greatness with Jacob Emery, a coaching community built for those ready to become the strongest version of themselves. Weekly calls, proven playbooks, and a community built to grow. Greatness is not given, it's unlocked. Join us today at jacobemery.com or DM coach at jacobemery44 on all social media platforms. Welcome to another edition of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast. And today's guest is an Alabama boy, Austin McMillan. He is a data guy. Show me the data. Austin is the owner of Flywheel Financial, and we just had an incredible conversation about facts, about proof, about data. Austin, welcome to the show. I'm really glad that you're here today, man. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me, Jacob. I'm fired up to be here.
And Austin is a girl dad, so all you girl dads out there, more power to us. Let's go.
That's right, man. Stay strong.
Yeah. Good luck to all us dads. God bless us all. So, Austin, tell me about Flywheel Financial.
Yeah, so basically, we've kind of created this business to be a financial wing for small service-based business owners. We want to kind of take the finance, the accounting, the admin of that off of business owners and their team's plate so they can focus on sales and operations and doing the thing that they got into business at the beginning and what they love doing to do every day. And we basically take that off of their plate and produce financials, which ultimately is the performance of their business to them on a monthly basis so they can understand where we're at and how do we need to grow into the future as they build their business.
If you don't have a scorecard that shows you what the score is of your game that you're playing, and you don't have a playbook to run the plays to know what the score is, business is pretty hard, man. So
That's exactly right.
You said small business. Do you have like a revenue range, or what? How do you look at that as far as what target companies you work with?
Exactly. So we're in the service industry, and we're in between that 1 million to 10 million in revenue range is kind of our sweet spot. We kind of go above and a little bit below that as well sometimes, but that's really our sweet spot of what we try to do to really serve those business owners in that small to medium sized business range.
And you probably see a huge need for this with the advancement in technology. AI is at the forefront of everything, especially in business. And I truly believe if you're not on that train of AI, you're going to get left behind really quick. What has
Absolutely.
This endeavor shown you, and as far as what style business really needs your services?
Yeah, so really it's people that are heavy on labor, right? And so we have specialized in that industry because that's kind of where we have found our expertise. And so we know the critical pieces of a business to really help you hit that, net profit at the bottom of the line, which ultimately what people need to be driving for is really what are you actually bringing home as a business owner? And so for us, we found that to be the niche. And so a lot of times what will happen is when we're, delivering a P&L that's got 50 or 60 line items on it, a lot of these business owners that are not necessarily financially minded will get something like that. And they're like, I don't even know how to analyze it, what to look at. It's just Chinese on the page, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what we try to do and condense that down into saying like, okay, what are the one or two key things that you need to focus on? Labor typically tends to be the number one thing to focus on to really get that formula built in to understand how that equals that net profit down at the bottom. And so we basically go in discussions with a lot of guys to kind of help them understand that and what they need to do from a pricing standpoint and all of those things. But going back to your AI point, I mean, I think, like you said, I feel like business owners have to lean into that world because there's just so many repetitive, clerical type things that any business is currently doing that AI could very much take over. And that's just one small piece of the AI puzzle, right? It can become a business coach. It can become a question mentoring type thing for it. I mean, it's just the brain power of the internet right at your fingertips. And so there's just, I can't, if we can have a discussion about that for hours if you want to, but I love the whole AI world.
I do too. And there are no real shortcuts in business and in life. I don't think the work still has to be done, but just like AI, just like having a solid discipline foundation in life, there are really good accelerators. And so
Yep.
you still got to put the work in, but man, you can really accelerate the pace. I go to Chicago every quarter for a coaching program called Strategic Coach. I live in Columbus, Ohio. So it's a 54-minute flight on United. That is my accelerator, where it probably take me 54 days to walk there. And so you look at the difference, and that's how I look at AI. It's, manual entry is that 54-day walk. Hopping on that plane is that accelerator, 54 minutes I can be there. And so it's amazing how, everybody thinks, oh, this is going to take all this pain away. It's going to be a shortcut. No, you still have to grow as an individual. You still have to put in work. It's just going to help you grow a lot quicker because it accelerates the pace of what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point on that analogy, I feel like at least where we're feeling we see the flight, the potential that how fast it could help us in business, but we're still in the walking phase right now to prompt it and understand it and to build the brain power inside that's unique to our business to really help get that flight as soon as possible. Right.
And I don't know if this is something that I've just noticed, and I'm pretty confident in the answer you're going to give me, but 6 months ago to today, do you feel like it's a completely different AI tool, even utilizing the same one as far as what it can spit at you as far as the graphic design? Or, I looked at graphics from 6 months ago and it would misspell a word that I would put in the chat. And now I look at it, it's spitting out some incredible design. 6 months of progress is absolutely phenomenal, what it's showing me. And that's just 6 months.
Yep. 100%, Jake. And so I'll give you a perfect example. Like 6 months ago, I was on ChatGPT probably maybe once a week on my phone, asking it probably the same question I could have asked Google, right? Didn't really understand the power. I didn't really see the power in it, playing around with it. Fast forward to today, short 6 months later, they've released ChatGPT operators, which essentially for people that know macros is a macro for the internet, which means you can open up any window in any web browser and tell this machine to do whatever you want to do in that specific window of that specific website. It is mind-blowing stuff, right? And so that's happened in a short 6 months. And now I'm thinking it's still a little clunky and you have to figure those things out. Just like you said, it was misspelling words 6 months ago. The operator's still trying to figure things out now. But 6 months, especially 12 months from now, it is going to be a crazy revolutionary thing that we have the ability to harness as a business. To really just leverage. To me, it's all about leverage, right? And so if you can leverage machines to do those things, sky's the limit, I think.
We're in Dan Martell's program, his elite coaching program. Shout out Dan Martell. His program has been incredible, absolutely incredible. Buy back your time. You want to talk about the biggest accelerator for buying back your time? You have the power of 10,000 of the most intelligent people, and you can get the result that you're looking for in 5 seconds. It's amazing what you can do. I'm in the middle of a process overhaul and doing a visual process creation, kind of like what Dan teaches, only more specific to what we need. It's wild how fast I've been able to do that because of AI.
Absolutely, man. I think you're exactly right. It's interesting that I think when you look at that program together, obviously he's teaching a little bit about AI because that's his whole world as well, but just to glean wisdom from the things that he's walk through and just those principles that he's teaching. I think there's certain things AIs will never be able to replace, but that fundamental principle of the creation aspect of a human being, AI will never be able to do that. But to combine both of those things in business, ultimately, the way I love it is that the way I'm viewing AI is it gets every unique person in their unique ability, right? And so if you're getting out of the stuff that you don't need to be doing anymore because it's mind numbing and draining you, leverage a software like AI to do those things so that you can be in your unique ability every day in your role in the position or whatever you're aspiring to do in life.
You sound like you have a little bit of Strategic Coach or Dan Sullivan, reading.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
So Who Not How was a foundational book for me, man. Yeah.
Preach
so it's I studied that book. I read it probably whenever it came out 4 or 5 years ago or whatever, but studied it multiple times. I've never been, one of my really good friends is actually in Strategic Coach. We can probably talk about that offline or something, but I need to connect y'all for sure. But I haven't been in the program, but I've just studied the book, try to implement it in my life. Listened to a ton of his podcasts. And so yeah, it's a foundational thing for us in business for sure.
Man, I will scream from the mountaintops all day long. I'm in year 5 of strategic coach, and it has been the biggest and best investment for personal and professional growth. It has absolutely changed me as a person in every facet of my life. Unique
Love that.
ability, the Colby Index, all the things that it creates this self-awareness platform that you didn't know that you needed. A lot of people think they're self-aware and don't have a clue what they're looking at when they look in the mirror. And
Yeah.
it just creates a sense of clarity and belonging. Like for myself, a wild visionary that, troubled most of my life when I was younger and just never fit in. And I walk into that place and I just know I belong there. And
Yeah.
my coach, Stephen Nooner, shout out Stephen Nooner too. He's such a good friend and such a big impact on my life. It's been such a blessing, man. And he founded a company, Superpowers, that is an EA, virtual EA service. And oh my God, that combination of superpowers and strategic coach has really gave me the ultimate green light to live a very fulfilled life. I could not had imagined 5 years ago this point today. So 10x is easier than 2x. If you haven't read that book,
Yeah.
it's okay. That
I
one too.
have.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of really good concepts in there from Coach, the gap in the game, the 4 C's. I nerd out
Yep.
on this stuff, dude. I obsess over
Yeah.
it. And I probably read 10x is easier than 2x 3 to 5 times at least, the whole thing. And then I'll
Yeah.
go back and reference to some. And same with Buy Back Your Time. Man, you can change your life with a book and reading
100%.
reading someone else's experience and learning from other people, the personal development component and how much it is overlooked in society in general. People write books to tell a story, and everybody's story is incredible. The only ones that don't have incredible stories are the ones that are never told. And that's why I started this
Yeah.
podcast, was
That's a good
really,
point.
to get my story out there and hope that I can help people, which I've been blessed to do, but also to get other people on to tell their story like today with you. And I love hearing other people's story, and there's always something that I can learn from it. Sometimes it's what not to do. Most of the time it's like, wow, I never looked at it from that lens. Framing things and looking at things with a different perspective, having a diverse ability to see things and hear and receive things, it's absolutely life-changing if you allow it to be. And then just being open
Yeah, that's
enough
good.
to know that I might not be right. I just want to get it right in life. But man, that's really interesting. Maybe I could look at that. It definitely creates a different vision for your life. And it really opens up the vision that you have as far as how wide it can be and how tall it can go. So that's how I kind of look at it.
Yeah,
But strategic coach is amazing.
yeah, it's so good, Jacob. I think to your point, I mean, to me, so much about life is about a perspective. And when you can glean perspective from other people's perspective based on their books they're written, their podcasts, or whatever, it can just make you view things in life
Mhm.
completely different. And so I'm just like on this mission to be like, I want to learn from as many different perspectives as possible to like be at a different level, looking at things from a different level than I'm currently looking now.
I love it. It's something that I obsess over content consumption. And one of my 5 daily standards, so I have 5 daily standards: no snooze. You don't hit the snooze button. You get up and you do what you're supposed
Love
to do
it.
that day. Physical output. So minimum every day of 10 minutes of physical output. And 10 minutes is like the minimum standard. It's more about the
Yeah.
consistency day after day. So the physical output followed by mental input. Garbage in, garbage out. So consume quality. Quality comes in, quality comes out. I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news. I rarely even watch sports at all anymore. And I just am always thinking about growth and getting more content because I never did in high school. And now I'm obsessed with it and I absolutely love it. The fourth one is track and attack. You have to track your progress. If you can't measure it, you can't manage
Love
it.
that.
Attack
That's
every
right.
day, even if it's taking a nap, you attack that nap like it's the best nap you're ever going to take. It's just
That's
about
awesome.
it's about being intentional
Yeah,
about
I love it.
where you put your attention. And then the last one, you end your day with gratitude and preparation. Gratitude and preparation for the next day. I think today's success was determined last night. That's how I view it. If you don't have things prepared for the next day, you're already behind.
Jacob, I'm going to steal those things from you, man. That is a
I'll,
gold mine of
I
a
will send
five.
it to you. Yeah.
That's good,
I
Jacob. I
call it my
love it.
standards of greatness. Unlocking greatness, my coaching
Yeah.
program. Them are the standards of greatness for me, and they're very simple. But man, them little things done over time, kind of like compound interest. You invest in
Yeah.
that little bit every day of yourself, and next thing you don't know who you are in 6 months.
That's so true. And honestly, Jake, I mean, you mentioned those five things. All of them are critically important. But I love the gratitude piece
Mm,
to end the day because, like, that's one of the things that once again shifts that perspective to be like, even I heard a friend tell me a while back. He said, "Did you have a bad day, or did you have 5 minutes of a bad
mhm.
time during that day?" Right. So don't let 5 minutes ruin the rest of the day because every day really could be a gift. And
Yeah.
so if you look at it and have that gratitude perspective, it just really kind of hones in a different perspective as you walk through the week. I love that.
I had one bad day my entire life. I had a tragic accident happen in my life 8 years ago or so. And I thought I had bad days before. And I realized that day I never had a bad day in my life. I've had one bad day my entire life. I've had
Wow.
moments
Yeah.
that kind of sucked and moments that I don't like. I call that my bad day perspective. Every day is a good day because I'm still here. And
Yeah, that's
when I
right.
think about it, every failure in life is just psychological unless you die. And I'm still here. So it's not a failure, it's more of a learning lesson,
Yeah.
and
So good.
failure is a requirement for fulfillment, in my opinion.
Yep. I love that. And it's a hard one to learn. I'm a slow learner, and so like sometimes I kind of don't want to lean into the uncomfortableness of failure and kind of take the risk to do it because there's a potential for failure. But I think it's just it's part of growth, right? It's the only
Hmm.
way to grow, really, like you're mentioning. And so I love that.
Well, and executing on a 1 out of 10 value task at a 10 out of 10 execution rate is still a useless task that you completed. And thinking about it,
Yeah.
you got to make sure what you're doing is what you like. What is the desired outcome? If you just break it down to the most simplest, basic form of fact, what is the exact thing I want to get out of this? And what does that do for my vision for my life? And if it doesn't
Yeah.
fit, just don't do it. And I think that's where people get confused or sidetracked with they're doing this thing they don't really have intent behind and they don't really have a purpose behind and they don't know what the
Yeah.
desired outcome is. So they're trying to chase a target they can't see or don't have.
Yeah, it's so good. I think the greatest thing, and I did this right before COVID, I guess. It was probably 2019, maybe 2018. And I read I'm trying to remember, maybe it was a podcast. And I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Like I said, I'm like you, I consume a bunch of stuff.
Mm,
But it was really a principle from Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, but it's
mm,
begin with the end in mind. It was the ultimate end in mind. So he basically forced you to sit down and envision your own funeral, like your
mm,
casket is being put into the ground, right? And he said, I want you to think about the people that are on the front row of your funeral, and then I want you to write down what you would want each person as they stand
mm,
up and give a minute, 3 minute speech about you as you're being lowered in the ground. What do you want them to say?
mm.
And dude, I went to a coffee shop and I probably spent 5 or 6 hours at a coffee shop. And dude, I was weeping, I was
Yep.
crying, I was writing these things down. But it gave me such clarity into like, okay, I need to review these all the time
Hmm.
because it sets perspective on why am I worried about the things that I shouldn't be worried about, and what should I be doing today that's going to align with that ultimate end in mind thinking on this planet.
What really matters? What really matters in
Yep.
life? Does Mrs. Johnson's, opinion down the street that she thinks I'm some worthless human, does her opinion really matter? Well, she's not paying my mortgage, she's not feeding my family, and she has no desire or impact in my life whatsoever. Her opinion is
Yeah.
so irrelevant to me. It doesn't go in one ear out the other. It stops right here. And the ability to not care what people think is a true superpower. I know people
It
that say
is.
they don't care about others' opinions. I truly don't care. If you're someone that's growth minded and we can raise each other up, I'm here for it. But no negative relationships. Protect your positivity. That's one of my things for this year is
It's
zero
great.
negativity in my life. I will not have a negative relationship. And it doesn't matter if it's family or who it is. I just refuse to have people try to bring me down. It's not that they need to lift me up on the mountaintop, but they need to, not be bringing me down if I'm trying to bring them up because I try to bring everybody
Yeah.
up. And so, no
Yep.
negative relationships, protect my positivity. If they don't help you elevate, then erase it. It's that
Yeah, that's
simple.
so good, Jacob. And yeah, that's so good. I love that you have the discipline to do that because it's hard to do sometimes to like cut off relationships and sever
Mhm.
some, especially if they're high school friends or like longer than that, right? It's like sometimes it's hard to do that, but I love the attitude behind it because you're exactly right. It's you can't let those things bring you down.
Realizing one thing for me was we all are going to die. We all share the same destination at the end. And we don't all get to live, though. And I know people personally that we used to be very close to me that died probably at 40 years old and they might not get buried till 75. They just died internally, even though they were still externally, here.
Yeah.
they weren't here,
So
and
true.
they lost
Yep.
fulfillment and purpose, and they don't even realize it. Some people never do, and it sucks for them. But I figured out, like, I'm going to die one day. It's inevitable. We all have that
Yep.
happen. And knowing that you're going to die, it eliminates the thought that someone else's opinion really matters that much. Or, why do I care about that guy down the street that's giving me shit about something that is completely irrelevant in my life? Why would I even let him
Yeah.
entertain space in my head? And
100%.
Steve Jobs talked a lot about that, but he said something and I'm going to quote it, but I'm going to paraphrase it because I know it's going to be horrible. Everybody dies, or everybody wants to go to heaven, but not everybody wants to die. And so he's just saying, like, everyone wants to go to the same place, but they don't want to do it right now. They desire that when it does happen, but we're not in control of it. And he obviously had a much better explanation of it. But knowing that you're going to die one day just creates this frame about what can I do for the people I love, care about the most, and what do I want out of life? Because I only get one shot.
Yeah. That's so good. And I think that goes right back to your daily gratitude discipline, because it's so easy to not think about that on a day-to-day basis, right? You get trapped up in the seasons of life or build mode or
Mhm.
whatever, and then you just get that perspective shifted off of it, and you need a reminder daily to go back to, okay, what is important in life? What do I need to be focused on? That's really good.
You got to be intentional about it. And so I have the standards of greatness. It's in my calendar, in my phone. And I have reminders like throughout the day that'll kind of just pop up and say, did you hit the snooze button? Yes or no? Nope. No snooze. I'm good. Did you work out? Did you do personal development? Are you still tracking progress? Are you attacking the day? And then on that gratitude and preparation, it's like, I can look at every day, no matter how exhausting or how much pressure is on, or weight is on my shoulders, I still find wins in that day. So if I
Yeah,
can
it's
be
good.
in a good mood or bad mood at the end of the day, well, if I can be in a bad mood for no reason, why would I not just be in a good mood for no reason? And that's exactly what that did for me. It created that clarity. Like,
Yeah.
I can go to bed peacefully and have gratitude for the day, regardless of what actually happened. The outcome is perceived as good. So it is good, regardless of what the outcome was.
Yeah. Dude, attitude's the X factor, man. I think that's
Mhm.
so brilliant. When you have the ability to just shift attitude in any perspective, it's a game changer. I love that.
What is it, like 9 negative thoughts to one positive thought naturally that we have, because we're built to be survival creatures, and it is
Yeah.
hard sometimes to get out of that funk. And when the gap in the gain, I don't know if you read that book as
Yeah,
well,
I've
but
read that one too. Yeah.
there's a couple of moments in there, and Benjamin Hardy really puts the perspective on it, where it's like brutally deep about, if you're upset at your kids or something, what if they weren't there anymore? What if you didn't have your kid anymore? It's
Yeah.
like, holy crap. Like, he really puts it in perspective. And that book was a game changer for me too, where I'm feeling down or, sorry for myself this day, or I'm in a victim mindset. And it's like, nobody else is going to come save me. This is on me. I can either sit here
Yeah.
and pout about it, or I can do something different. And so it just creates that
Yeah.
instant ability to kind of snap out of it. And we all need to be reminded sometimes, but it's so powerful when you can recognize yourself doing something and falling into, a trap, and nobody else even has to acknowledge it for you.
Yeah. That's great, man. I love that so much. Yeah. That was a powerful book for me too, just to
Mhm.
kind of, once again, shift perspective. It's good.
Let's talk about iron. I don't know what your preferred workout method is. The Iron and Infrastructure podcast came from me running heavy equipment as a kid. That's how I got in the pipeline world and
Yeah.
lifting weights. I've been a fitness fanatic somewhat for over 20 years now. Showing my age a little bit, I guess. But, I was a teenage kid that was overweight and got picked on. I actually got my ass kicked quite frequently. It was such a insecurity and constraint my whole life. Up until probably like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, I would be petrified to think that I had a podcast. To be on camera right now, it's actually facing one of my biggest fears in life. So the first one would be
Awesome.
taking my shirt off in front of other people, and I do that every day with zero thought about it. And being on camera or being in the spotlight, raising my hand in class as a kid. Them two
Yeah.
things were huge insecurities because I had struggled to read and write well. I didn't communicate well in school. And then the overweight insecurity, throughout my childhood. So that's what the show's all about. How the fitness side of the iron just create this callous confidence in me that I'd never stopped doing. So the delayed gratification, part of it also is very powerful. What is
Yeah.
your go-to wealth and health? Because I know how you reference that. Health is the 1/3 of it all. You can't have real true wealth, I don't think, without health. And to me, net worth isn't just a financial metric. Net
Yeah,
worth
yeah.
is something different to me. But what do you think about that, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, Jacob. And honestly, it's a fairly new thing for me in my, I'm 36 now. So like, the first close to 30 years wasn't really even a thought from a health and wealth perspective for me. It was just kind of like, living as a dumb young kid. And so for me, it's been really a perspective shift. And I think even having our little girl 7 months ago has amplified it even more, right? Because I'm thinking about how, we're a little late to have kids in the game of, normal people having kids. And so I'm thinking like, well, shoot, if I'm going to be an older dad, I'm not going to be that older dad that can barely even get on the floor anymore
Mm-hmm.
when she's still wanting to play and wrestle and do all these different things. So it's just like that's given me probably a greater why than I've had even before. But at the end of the day, I think, the perspective that I'm slowly still being kind of dripped into my brain and just mentality is for me to be sharp mentally, which is like what's one of my biggest drivers in life to like really do things that are impactful and be sharp in the mental game. You have to be physically sharp because physically produces the mental
Mm-hmm.
sharpness, right? And we're learning that in the Dan Martell program right now. But like, what does he say? Exhaust the body, tame the mind. But
Yep.
it's that concept of like physical fitness equals mentally fitness. And really, it's this three-part equation for people that are spiritual, but it's like the Lord created us that way, right? It's like there's a third of you that's physical, there's a third of you that's like mental and soul, and then a third of you that's spiritual. And
Absolutely.
all of those things work together. And if one of them's drained, if you have one that's the lowest slat in the bucket, it's affecting the whole body, right? And so for me, physical was not something I put a lot of attention towards like 10 years ago, but it's been something that I've just seen the compound effect on in my life to just be disciplined in it. And I love what you said, Jacob. And this is something I'm still working on. And once again, I'm a slow learner, but something I'm still working on is the delayed gratification discipline of working out. Right. It's a beautiful thing, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like you can't get six pack abs tomorrow if you just do a really hard workout yesterday, right? So it's one of those things where everything good in life takes time, and physically fit is one of those things you just got to put in the discipline on a daily basis to get there. And so it's been, like I said, a journey for me. And the thing that's helped me out the most, Jacob, and I think this is true for really anything in life, but I've brought people into my life that are ahead of me in the game of physical fitness to hold me accountable, to meet with them in the mornings to go do those things. So I started this group thread text of people that live
Mm-hmm.
in the neighborhood. I'm like, okay, we're going to be working out these certain days. I'm going to text the group. Y'all got to hold me accountable to do it. They're going to come in and do it with me. And they're ahead of me in that game anyway. So I just kind of lean on their capabilities because I know I'm weaker in that area. And so that's helped me tremendously have the accountability side.
Your environment dictates so much of your evolution. And
Yeah.
I work out with a crew of savages. I mean, these dudes are badasses. It's the 4 a.m. crew, old school gym. Corey Gregory, who I'm actually at Max Effort Muscle warehouse right now. But so I am
Yeah.
part of a supplement company. Corey's the CEO of it, and he's been a lifelong mentor of mine since I was like 17. And he was the one that kind of asked me that turning point question: what the hell are you doing with your life? One day after a
Yeah.
workout, I was in a bad place at like 20 years old. And he asked me that question. And now we are business partners in two different businesses. We train every day together. And he's been on my show quite a bit. He's in the fitness space his whole life. And he's the one that really catapulted my fitness into a different arena. And I follow his app on Corey G Fitness. You know, he has an app, absolutely incredible
Yeah.
programming. I would argue he's probably one of the best programming, natural, never taken steroids, probably one of the best drug-free programmers that I've ever seen out there with online
It's awesome.
programming.
Yeah.
And so knowing that you have that crew that can elevate you is crucial. And I'm glad that you said that, because that is one of the biggest success criteria honestly is, dude, it's hard to hold yourself accountable and just go do the hard thing every day and not have anyone call you out on it. And then if you're the
Yeah.
most intelligent person in the room and you can't have anyone that you can bounce questions off of or learn from, you're in the wrong room. You got to have someone that's,
Yeah.
been there, done that, and can help you get there faster. Back to the accelerator.
Yeah.
Environment really does dictate that evolution. And so I know for me, I came back to the 4 a.m. crew like 4 or 5 years ago after a little, I don't know, 5 or 6 year hiatus where I trained on my own. And it changed. It was like the last building block that I needed to get where I'm at now. And I didn't realize I was missing that environment so much until I came back. Dude, it's changed my life.
Yeah.
In the last 5 years, it's been just unexplainable, like growth.
Yeah. That's so good. What's that quote? It's aspire to be the dumbest person in the room.
Hmm.
So you're just constantly,
Yeah.
building people
Elevating the
around you, your
room.
friends,
Yeah.
your close friends. That's right. Yeah. It's good.
I use the analogy of like climbing up the side of a building, and this is something I did I naturally, and I didn't really understand it until I got a little bit older. But just imagine that you're climbing up the side of the building, and you're climbing up this ladder, and you get to this point where there's a gap, there's a ledge that you need to get up to, and you can't reach it because the ladder is too short. But then someone comes and reaches a hand down to you, and they are willing to pull you up. Before you climb up that next set of ladder, though, make sure that you're reaching your hand back down to pull the next person up. And so
Yeah.
always
That's
having
awesome.
one hand up, looking for that mentor or having that person that you need, all the while bringing someone along with you, if not multiple people
That's
with you,
great.
but never have two hands up or two hands down because it's like a continuous flow up this mountaintop, and you got to have one on each side because you're serving the one down there for the one that's serving you. And so it's
Yeah.
like paying back the person that helps you by helping somebody else. And I could not like imagine not having the people in my life that I do now. And back to protecting my positivity, everybody wants you to win. If you beat them in a competition that day, they're gonna high five you. They're not gonna punch you in the mouth. They want you to win.
Yeah.
They might want to beat you and they might want to win more, but if you get it, it's all good. And so the environment, man, is so big. I am big on the lifting weights. Is that kind of where you're at, or what's your go-to?
Yeah. So the latest thing I've been kind of keen on is the Murph
Mm.
challenge, which I'm sure you've heard about. So that's kind of been the
Um,
main focus for me right now with the group that I'm in. And so, yeah, we just basically run that mile. There's a park about a mile from my house, essentially. So we run down there. It's got pull-up bars and that kind of stuff. So we basically do the Murph challenge, and then we run that mile back. So it's been something that's been I've seen the consistency. It's kind of like this dangling carrot out in the front to like train to be able to do the Murph. And so that's been kind of the latest thing I've been doing. And then weights, my wife actually has been the one that's been like, you got to start like actually getting in the gym and doing weights,
mm.
outside of running and Murph and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's right around the corner for me.
Muscle is the organ of longevity, my friend. I cannot like express it enough. Obesity is a huge issue in our world today in
Yeah.
society, but a lot of people have obesity issues because they're not strong enough to actually carry the weight. So yes, the overweight is a problem, but the lack of muscle mass to carry that weight is all, they're not strong enough to carry it. And so I think it's Danielle Lyon. She's a doctor, and she talks about this exact thing where she says muscle is the organ of longevity. The muscle carries us and gets us through so many things that we don't realize we need. And so
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people go on these weight loss journeys. And there's a guy that works at Arnold Pipeline, our director of operations. He lost like 100 pounds. And when he started, he was already probably 80 pounds in on that journey. And I said one day, I told him, I was like, Josh, you're going to lose all this weight and not have a foundation. Like, you're going to strip all this building down and have no foundation. You got to have a foundation of strength and muscle. So when you strip down fat, you got something underneath of it. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's coming around a little bit now in the fitness world, but having dense muscle mass is an absolute driving force for health and longevity, and it's so overlooked.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of people that just only run or only bike or do all these long distance things all the time, that's all they ever do, they don't ever develop muscle mass to be able to sustain it long term. And so
Yep.
if you actually lift, which you're doing pull-ups and push-ups and all that, so you're getting the muscle activation. But like people who never do that, they don't realize they're just tearing their muscle down and starving their body to do so without building any density or any foundation up. And so it's misjudged or misinterpreted a lot of time. But building muscle and focusing on strength actually burns more body fat and is much better for longevity than what most people give it credit. So we can talk offline about that if you want. I'm a training resource for you, anything you need. So I've went through 20 years of hell getting where I'm at today. And now I wouldn't say it's on cruise control because I push every day, but I'm in the best shape of my life at 36 years old also. And, and I'm just really, I'm dialed in, and it's a lifestyle. I don't diet. It's a lifestyle. It's non-negotiable lifestyle for me.
I love that. So yeah, Jacob, you would be one of those guys, obviously, that's ahead of me in that game that I'm trying to learn from. Because I think that's one of the biggest keys is like, it is a lifestyle. That's just who I am. It's not something that I'm not on a diet for a season and I'm not trying to, it's just who I am. And that's the game that I'm trying to get to in the physical fitness
Mhm.
game. But yeah, I love that. And honestly, Jacob, my wife's going to love listening to this because she's been telling me that for years. She's been like, you need to be lifting weights because it's actually more healthy for you than running and all the other things. So
You better just,
she's going to love your
I don't know
comment.
what your wife's name is, but I'll give you like 10 seconds. Go ahead.
Samantha. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Samantha, shout out to you, Samantha. I'm with you. You're right. Let's get Austin's ass in shape. Let's get him in the weight room.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's good.
So you're a family man. You're a girl dad. Let's touch on that real quick. I think you said miracle baby. Is that how you described it?
Yeah, for sure. So this was a long time coming from my wife and I. We both, we got married 10 years ago. Actually, we're celebrating 10-year anniversary this year. And both desired early on to be parents. And so Lord had a little bit of a different plan. And so we just, basically got to see the faithfulness from the Lord and building a very strong foundational marriage in the season of a desire to be parents. And then found out, a year and a half ago that little baby Campbell, our little girl or my wife was pregnant with our little girl. So, like I said, I've been crying more in the past year and a half than I've ever cried my entire life. But it's just been a little blessing from the Lord that we're just super, super grateful for, and just honor our lives to be her dad and my wife to be her mom, and we're just loving every second of it.
I love it. This is a quote that I actually put it together for a speaking event that I did, and also for a State of the Company address for R&R Pipeline. But I want to read it to you because I think you're going to like it. It fits perfectly what you're talking about here. The ironic tragedy of life is that it must be lived forward, with every decision we make being in the present that ultimately shapes a future we can't fully see. Yet life itself only makes sense in reverse when we're able to look back and connect the dots. In hindsight, the chaos often reveals purpose, and the pain normally turns into progress. Even when in the moment, when faced with bracing uncertainty, we have to maintain faith and not fear, and trust that the path ahead will eventually reveal its meaning. That quote, when I put it together,
so good.
Dude,
so good.
It was the storybook quote for my life, and it spelled out everything that I went through my whole entire life, and in one paragraph, everything made sense in that one paragraph.
Yeah. Jacob, I love that. You definitely have to send that to me as well. I
Yep.
might have to frame it on my desk because, it's just a beautiful story of life, right? It's like, in fact, a friend of mine told me, he's like, if you could pick your perfect life now, you would probably choose things differently than if you could speed ahead 20 years and look back to see what the Lord actually did over those 20 years versus trying to you force it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just when you get that perspective and you can look back on it, it's the exact path that you should have taken because it's developed the character that you have now. And so I love it. It's a great thing.
You cannot connect all of the dots until all the dots are there to be connected. And so right at the worst moments, I always think about that quote now, right at the moment where I'm ready to give up, I just have to stop, and I have that daily gratitude for a second. And I just think about, man, this is a good life. I'm upset right now, but 5 years ago, my problem today, I could not even dream of the problem I have 5 years ago today. I used to pray for this problem that I now have. And
That's
so,
right. Yeah.
like I think about what I go through today. 2 years ago, Austin, I would not have been able to fathom this is a problem of mine. And I think about that, and it creates that perspective of how good life really is.
That's so good. And I'm probably going to continue to go back to your number 5 gratitude daily thing the rest of my life because it's just such a beautiful thing to do, to have the discipline to do that every single day because it just sets the perspective again. It's really, really good.
Well,
yeah, and we have the exact same.
Yeah.
We're facing that right now where it's like if we're up all night because we got a crying baby, I have to sit there at 2 a.m. saying, well, this is a blessing from the Lord. Like, this is remarkable that we get to do this. It's awesome. So having that perspective is huge.
It is, because it doesn't mean it's easier to do it. It just means that your
That's right.
mindset during it is much better. And so you're able to see it as a blessing and not like this detriment and this setback
That's
and
right.
this thing in your life. And I promise you, man, in a few years, you're going to look back and be like, that sucked, but I kind of miss it. And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it does to all of us. And I remember when my first daughter was born, it was horrid every night. I would sleep 3 hours a night if I was lucky. And I just remember laying on the couch with her, and I'm just like, God, I don't want this to be right now, but I know one day I'm going to want it back. And I think
Yeah.
being present is a gift. And that's why they call
Yep.
gifts presents, in my opinion, because
That's great.
truly, foundationally on the surface right now, being present, I don't think balance exists at all in my life. Everyone has their own interpretation of what balance could be. I don't think I'm ever going to be balanced. I'm a wild, crazy fanatic of everything that I do. But I did realize that having balance might not be real, but being intentional is. So being intentional about what I have my focus on, being intentional about where I put my attention. If I'm home with my family, I need to be home with my family. If I'm on
Yep.
this podcast right now, you have my undivided attention. It's being present in that moment and not being half in and half out. And that alone created this, I wouldn't say balance fulfillment, but like it created this perspective that I know I'm doing what I need to do now. And there's seasons where you allocate time in areas you don't want to, but ultimately, if you're focused on what matters in that moment, you're being fully present, it creates a different level of understanding about life.
That's so good, Jacob. And I think you and I probably both agree on your network is your net worth. Like
Yes.
life is all about relationships. And so like what you just said is the best activator, in my opinion, to develop authentic relationships is being 100% present
Mm.
in the moment with every person that you're with. And so I love what you just mentioned because like that to me is far greater than any kind of bank account you could have or any of these other things. Because once again, if you go back to the end in mind thinking when you're being buried into the
Mm-hmm.
grave, it's those people that you had those authentic, real relationships with that you just care about the most. So it's a beautiful thing.
Trying to be somebody or not is catastrophic, I would have to say. I probably tried to be somebody I wasn't years ago by becoming the person I am today. I had desired to be that person, but I hadn't worked hard enough to deserve it yet. And
Yeah.
thinking about that, people desire certain things in life and they think I am worthy of this. I deserve this thing. My harsh reality of that is if you don't have it, you don't deserve it because you haven't earned it yet. You have to earn the thing that you desire to deserve it. And it sounds
Yeah.
like brutally harsh, and it probably is. It's true though. If you
That's
think you
true. Yeah. That's
deserve
right.
something in life you don't have, then you're just not working hard enough and you're not worthy of getting it yet. And it's not that I'm being an ass about it. It's just fact.
Yeah.
It's hard
Yeah.
to hear that though for a lot of people.
It definitely is. That's exactly right. But once again, when you have the gratitude and you go back to that way of thinking, you want to earn the things because it's like it makes it that much greater. Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Everybody wants to have the trophy. Everybody wants to have the accolade. Nobody wants to be in that training ground. No one wants to do in the dark
Mhm.
what's shown in the light. And I truly think that the ability to not focus on just the view as you're climbing that mountain, but enjoying every moment of that climb is what creates the view that is fulfillment in life. People that just focus on the destination end up having the destination disease and they don't find joy in the journey. And I cannot think of a more profound truth because I was that person for 12 years. Buying on our pipeline was my focus. And
Yeah.
I didn't focus on the moment. I focused on the end. And when I realized 2 days after, I'm gutted because I feel no fulfillment at all about this accomplishment. That accolade, the accomplishment was supposed to give me the fulfillment, but it was the person I became internally. And until I
Yeah.
realized that, I had no fulfillment. But finding that out and realizing it changed my life.
That's so good, Jacob, because I had that exact experience when Campbell was born, a little girl. Like for 7 years, we desired, all I could think about was being in the delivery room of this baby being born one day that I never knew if it was going to be a girl, a boy, or whatever. We're just praying for this little baby to be born. But I like in that journey of those 7 years, I rarely let my mind go past the delivery room. And so it's like, even as great of a moment and a miracle that was for this little girl to come into the world, it's like, man, this is just the beginning, and now I got to develop even greater character to be your dad and all these
Hmm.
things as we go through that. And so, like, anyway, I know exactly what you're talking about because I've experienced that, just in a relational way versus business. And so, yeah, it's a fascinating thing. It's all about the journey.
It really is. And here's the other part of it. This is why I love your perspective on that. What's the end? Not like what's my next goal, but what does the very end of my life look like? 80% of mountain climbers, 80% of injuries happen on the way down, not the way up. So someone's climbing a mountain
Wow.
and 80% of the injuries happen coming down because they don't plan for the ride down. They only plan on going up.
Wow.
And so you think
Yeah.
about that in any goal or any destination that you have short term, any outcome that you desire to have, you have to have something next. What is that end in
Yeah.
mind all the way at the end? And knowing that I'm never going to stop pursuing something. I'll still be pursuing something the moment I take my last breath. That's just part of it. And it's okay. That's how I want to live my
Yeah.
life. But 80% of mountain climbers get injured on the way down. And when I heard that,
Yeah.
it
That's
was
a
like
remarkable.
eye opening.
That applies to everything in life. That's
It
such a good
does.
thing, man. That's a remarkable stat. Yeah. It's crazy.
Austin, this has been awesome, dude. I am grateful that you came on today. It's been absolutely great. I enjoyed talking to you before we started recording. The whole podcast was amazing. Your insights, phenomenal. I want to give you a couple minutes. Where can the people find you? Social media platforms, website, company. Put it out there, man. Let's. Where's Austin at?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jacob. Like I said earlier, new to the social media game, but all in on the social media game. So Instagram is kind of my main lane I'm running in. So you can find me at Austin D McMillan on Instagram. And so we try to put all of our business content on there. You'll see some shots of Campbell, our little girl, on there. So we just try to be open and transparent about the life that we're living on that platform. And in fact, actually, Jacob, for you, I know I love talking about life and growth and all those things. And obviously, I try to hone in a little bit on the financial side to help service-based business owners. But if anybody in your audience or anybody that needs like any kind of honestly help or anything like that from a financial perspective in their business, if you just find me on Instagram and shoot me a direct message and just mention the word profit, I'll send you a free video that we've created that basically shows you how to set up your bank accounts to start profiting better than you're currently profiting. So if anybody desires that from anybody that's listening, feel free to just shoot me a direct message, mention the word profit, and we'll send it your way. Just so I can help other people out. Honestly, I'm in the game similar to you, Jacob, where I'm in the season where really all I want to do is just kind of serve people and serve business owners in the lens of the expertise that we have to help them improve and get better. Because really the why behind our whole business is if we can help business owners create healthy businesses, we know those healthy businesses create healthy families, and those families go home to ultimately create healthy communities. And so if we have that massive why to say if we can impact one leader in a business and they can impact all the people that they steward in their business, that means there's going to be healthy families in that community that business operates in. And if we can do that in any way, we're going to tackle the world trying to do it. So that's kind of the why behind us. So if anybody that wants to reach out, like I said, we'd love to send you anything free to help you improve making more money in your business so you can create those healthy families in your business.
Dude, that's absolutely incredible, Austin. Appreciate that. Anyone listening out there, Austin D. McMillan on Instagram, DM Profit. Woo, this boy's got some fire now. Let's go. Let's go.
I love it,
Austin,
Jagger.
any final thoughts? I'm going to let you shoot any final thoughts you got out.
Well, Jacob, I mean, honestly, we're new friends as of today, but man, I just am super grateful for what you're doing, the opportunity that just to have a conversation with you. You definitely, this is putting wind in my sails for many days, not just today, many days into the future. I'm excited to continue to chat with you, and so I just said, keep grinding, keep doing what you're doing, Jacob. I'm excited to follow your journey and see the lives that you get to change along the way. So I appreciate all that you're doing.
Awesome, my brother. I appreciate it. It's been a great episode. Everyone out there, DM Profit, Austin D. McMillan on Instagram. If you want to start changing your financial success in life and just meeting a good ass dude like Austin has been amazing experience today. So once again, Austin, DM Profit. God, I love that word. Profit's such an amazing word. It's not a bad word, everybody. It's an amazing word. So Austin, thanks again. This has been the Iron Infrastructure Podcast with Austin McMillan. We'll see you guys next time, and we're out.